Welcome back to Homegrown. Today we're going to be making strawberry jam with no pectin, using no pectin. So before we get started, you're going to want to get your supplies out and ready. I have half-pint jars here ready to go. These are kind of the perfect jam size, so that's what I would recommend. There are even smaller ones that are half of this, so they're like a fourth of a pint, but I would recommend getting the half-pint size. So I have 12 of those we're going to start with. And then with those, you're going to want to get some new lids. So the new lids, so you're going to want 12 new lids to go with your 12 jars in a pan of water. And we're going to start boiling these as it gets necessary when we're about ready to start putting the jam in the bottles, okay? I'm going to show you how to water bath this strawberry jam so it's not the old-fashioned hot method, because that's not really recommended anymore. So I'm going to show you how to water bath that jam in a water bath pan, okay? But before we get started, I need to go ahead and wash all my strawberries, get them cut up and kind of pureed and ready. I like to puree mine in a blender. You can go ahead and cut yours and mash them with a potato masher if you don't have a blender, but I just kind of recommend your lowest setting on a blender. So I'm going to go ahead and wash and cut and get started. Okay, so I have some of my berries in a colander here in the sink. I'm just going to go ahead and we're going to rinse those pretty good. And then I'm going to cut the stems off and then we'll be ready to put them in the blender. Once you've got your strawberries good and washed, we're going to go ahead and cut that stem off, maybe give them a half cut and just plop them there in the blender until we're ready for them. Okay, I have about a cup of strawberries in my blender. I don't want to overfill it because then some of them get too mushy and some of them don't get cut up enough. So I'm going to put it on the lowest setting and that should just kind of nicely, maybe I'll turn it up to a 2. That should kind of just nicely mash that up for me so that it's a good pureed mix, but not mutilated. We don't want it juiced. Okay, so I'm going to just keep getting my strawberries until I have 6 cups in here, and I'll measure that out before I add any of the other ingredients. So you want to start preparing your bottles. So I've got all of my 12 jars out, and I'm just going to rinse them. Mine are brand new from the store, so they just need a really good hot rinse. If yours are older bottles, make sure you wash them and dry them out with clean soapy water and then a clean rag. So I've got mine all rinsed, and then let's go ahead and start putting our jam together. All right, I've actually doubled my batch, so I have 12 cups of the mashed strawberries. Okay, and then I have 8 cups of just white sugar. So 8 cups of sugar. I'm going to stir that up really quick and then add my lemon juice. So with the 12 cups of strawberries and the 8 cups of sugar, I've got 1 cup of lemon juice that's going to be added into there. Okay. What we're going to do is go ahead and bring this to a boil on the stove. So I'm going to switch this into my pan after I get this all stirred up. And we're going to bring it to a boil and then let it simmer for maybe 5 or 6 minutes on the stove, and then we'll bottle it. All right, so over on the stove, what I've got is in this pan we have all the lids. I'm going to start that on to boil. Okay, and then I have my jam mixture here. I'm going to go ahead and get it starting to boil. Okay, and then in this pan, I have the water canner full of maybe a couple of quarts of water. We'll want to top it with water to just where the lids are when we get all our jam in, so we may have to adjust the water level, but I want to get it started boiling so it doesn't take as long to get started. All right, once you have your strawberries on the stove, they haven't boiled yet, but I'm starting to see a lot of foam on top. What I'm going to do is just kind of start to skim that off with a spoon. You can use like a gravy skimmer if you have one. A spoon works great. Just start getting some of that foam off. It's fine if you leave it, but you'll be able to see it in your jam when it's done. So if it bugs you, you can go ahead and just start skimming that off. All right, I've been simmering for about 7 minutes on the stove, so I'm gonna go ahead and take this off. My lids are still boiling here, which is great. And my water bath pan is here boiling. So I'm gonna go ahead and take my, stuff off the stove. And as soon as I get it off the stove, I'm gonna add the rest of the sugar. So I saved half the sugar. So the original recipe for every 6 cups of fruit you use 6 cups of sugar, but you only put 4 cups in to cook, and then you put the last 2 cups in at the end. Now I've doubled that, so I've got 4 cups here that's going in with my 12 cups. So this will be the final of the 12 cups of sugar. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that in, and in place of the pectin, this hot sugar, or putting the sugar in when this is hot, will thicken it. Okay, so this should thicken up your batch here, and then we're gonna make sure all that sugar gets dissolved and then put it in the bottles. I've got that sugar all stirred up. There is a little bit of foam, so if that bothers you, you can go ahead and try to scrape as much foam off as you can. I'm gonna get my lids off of the stove here that have been boiling, because we're gonna need those. I've got my bottles, and we're gonna just start filling the bottles and putting the lids and getting them in the counter. Okay, so I got my funnel, in goes the jam. I overfilled that one just a little bit. You're gonna wanna fill it to this bottom lip right there, okay? Just to there. And then get another one, get your funnel. You're gonna wanna take a washcloth, wipe your lids, the top really well, and then you can get a lid on it. So you're gonna get your hot lids that have been boiling. Get one of those, stick it on, and then get a ring rod. And then we're gonna go ahead and put these all in our water bather. So as you can see, I made quite a bit in my bowl here. I have the 12 jars all bottled up. So if you end up doing a double batch, you're gonna need way more than your 12 little jars. This is probably better. 12 jars is probably better for the 6 cups. All right, so now I'm ready. I've got the lids all on. I'm gonna go ahead and put them in the water bather. So I've got the little wire net sitting up. I'm gonna go ahead and arrange those and then drop it all in together. So I'm gonna go ahead and just drop this down in there. You do wanna make sure that the water line is at the bottom of your lids in the canner. So make sure it's at the bottom of the base of the lid. You don't want it covered, but just at the bottom part of where your ring goes on. And then once this starts boiling, we'll set the timer for 10 minutes. Okay, the jars have been processing now for 10 minutes, so I'm gonna go ahead and get them out of here. So I'm gonna take this lid off, and I'm actually just gonna take this counter all the way off the oven, or off the stove, and I'm gonna bring it over onto my counter. And then I'm gonna get my little jar grabber, and I'm just gonna pull these right out. Your fruit might have settled on top after the processing. That's okay. You're just gonna have to stir it when you're ready to eat your jam. Okay, so go ahead, get those out, and then you should start hearing the jars pop. Okay, just to review, I doubled my batch, so I have to do this process probably at least 1, maybe 2 more times to get all the jars. The original recipe, 6 cups of strawberries mushed, and then 6 cups of sugar and a 1/2 cup of lemon juice. But save 2 of your cups of sugar to add after you've simmered for 7 minutes, and then it'll thicken up your jam. With the original recipe, with the 6 cups of strawberries and the 6 cups of sugar, you should get about 12 jars, the 1/2 pint jars of your strawberry jam. Okay, so thank you for joining me on Homegrown. Make sure you subscribe to my video and share it with your friends, and I'll see you next time.